Hey, America. As we approach another critical election, a wave of concern is washing over this country. Recent studies reveal that an astonishing 56% of our fellow citizens report feelings of anxiety or dread about the upcoming presidential election. That's why I stand with AMAC. AMAC is more than a senior discount organization. During these challenging times, they fight for common sense and hope that our nation returns to traditional American values. Visit amac.us/Just News today to seize this exclusive election year special, a 4-year AMAC membership for just $30. That's unbelievable. As an AMAC member, you not only enjoy money-saving benefits, but also the AMAC magazine, free Social Security and Medicare advice, a trusted voice in Washington, and a community of like-minded patriots who love this great country and want to keep it the way it was. Take advantage of this election year special, 4 years for $30, and be part of the solution over the next 4 years by becoming an AMAC member. Now, when you do that, you're strengthening a movement dedicated to preserving the principles we all hold dear. Join now at amac.us/Just News. That's AMAC, AMAC.us/Just News.
Welcome back, everybody. As many of you saw in the news in the wee hours of Monday, an airstrike took out Iran's consulate in Syria's capital city of Damascus. Now, Iranian officials said the strike came from Israel. According to reports from Iranian media, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps' top commander for Syria and Lebanon were among those killed. Now Iran's supreme leader, Al-Naimi, has vowed to retaliate in the name of revenge, saying Israel will be punished. So joining us now to talk more about the state of our safety and ongoing conflict within the Middle East is Dr. Phares, a national security advisor to many presidential candidates and the author of the book Iran. Dr. Phares, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me today.
It's wonderful for you to be here, and I'm very excited to ask you about this because I know that when people saw this news break, they thought that this was likely a pretty significant escalation, but there was something very strategic and tactical about it from Israel's side. Can you talk about that?
Yes, absolutely. First, those who have been eliminated in this raid are high-ranking officials in this federation of militias that stretches from Iraq to Syria to Lebanon. I would even add Yemen and Gaza, of course. So the Israelis have messaged the Iran regime to stop moving weapons, including ballistic missiles and maybe weapons of mass destruction, chemicals, etc., throughout this plateau between Iraq and Syria. And it looks like the Israelis understood that the command posts in Damascus are in control of the northern front. So they are the ones who direct Hezbollah. They are the ones who direct probably even Hamas. So that was a message by the Israelis. I mean, viewers would think this is a one strike for one goal. No, this is part of the war between Israel and Iran throughout militias. But the Israelis act directly. They did that strike, which is very, very clearly a message to the Iran regime. And then they eliminated the man who would eventually, with time, would have become the next Soleimani, the next commander of all of these militias.
Yeah, a big win for security when someone like that finally gets taken out. Dr. Phares, I want to talk a little bit about the Biden administration's decision-making. We know that they've allowed all these oil sales to go and fill the coffers of Iran, which makes Iran stronger to do these proxy war activities that they've been doing. In Gaza, there's been a lot of State Department funding for organizations that appear to have some ties to bad actors, the Islamic Jihad in Palestine, particularly a group called the Phoenix Center. Tell us a little bit why the Biden administration would be so careless in allowing money to go to places that we know are working with bad actors.
Look, number one, this specific case of the Phoenix Center is clear. Two members of Congress have directed that letter, and then they want answers. But this is only the tip of the iceberg. I've been for the last 25 years at least, and some of my colleagues warning that the vetting process at the State Department, across the administration, across the agencies, I would add even, has a problem. Because when you ask what would this center, be with regard to the U.S. government in terms of policy, the experts, quote unquote, some of them at least, or those who vet, may be sympathetic to these goals. So when an organization is basically, spreading the ideas, the ideologies of Hamas, and somebody within our own bureaucracy says, well, that's fine, this is a liberation movement, this is a resistance movement, they find stuff about it to convince the decision makers to grant them money. The problem is not anymore this organization, it's us, it's our bureaucracy. And it's not just the Phoenix Center. Across the United States, there have been many, many similar centers, NGOs in many states that have been granted or given privileges by the bureaucracy. And not just in the United States, as you just mentioned. Aid has been channeled to Gaza. Aid has been channeled to NGOs, so-called NGOs in Lebanon, who appeared later on to be, a front for Hezbollah. Same could be said about Iraq and Eastern Syria and other places. I would even include Yemen. So we have a systemic problem, John, which is the presence of or the influence of either vetters or, influence agents, I would call them, or bureaucrats who are sympathizers. That's why. And that's why I'm concerned about the second vetting that comes from the intel community. I mean, I understand the first vetting comes from the State Department or USAID, for example, and that could be influenced, penetrated, infiltrated. We know that. Agencies should be the second layer of vetting and should prevent this from happening.
Incredible. Sir, I wanted to ask you about a strange dynamic. The Biden administration is reportedly considering a sale of weapons packages to Israel. So you've got, I think, about 50 F-15s. You've got munitions packages along with missiles. Just the aircraft alone is valued at, I think, $18 billion. At the same time, as John mentioned, we are directly or indirectly supporting Iran as well. Their cash on hand has exploded by billions just because of the sanctions lifted. Is this administration effectively supporting both sides?
Yes, in fact, and unfortunately, that's what has been happening. And not just Israel and Iran, but also the Saudis, the Emiratis, and the other Arab allies that we have. We sign contracts with them, and then we pressure them for certain policies. I'm going to start with the Arabs, and then I'll come back to Israel. For example, in Yemen, we have contracts with Riyadh, contracts with Abu Dhabi, and then at the same time, we ask those two ally governments to stop their campaign against the Houthi terrorists, who are the agents or the agencies linked to the Iran regime. So we find ourselves now in 2023-24 as having to go to the Red Sea, having to strike back at the Houthis, and in a very limited matter. Though in 2021, we have asked the Saudis and the other Arab coalition partners to stop and withdraw. Otherwise, we'll cancel the contracts. Otherwise, we won't send smart munitions, so on and so forth. That game is very dangerous. So we have an agreement, for example, with Israel. Yes, we'll send you planes, we'll send you stuff, but you're going to have a ceasefire with Hamas. You're going to stop your escalation against Hezbollah. You're not going to strike inside Iran. So this policy is extremely dangerous because we are using basically what we offer to our allies, and most of our allies actually buy them. And then as a tool to pressure their policies. And that policy, at the end of the day, as you just said, is in the interest of the Iran deal. Who will profit from us pressuring the Saudi Arabians, UAE, Israel, and even the other actors in the region? The Iran regime. So in my view, the Iran deal is a transaction that many people are profiting from and is a tool to pressure our allies and our partners in the region.
Such a head scratcher. Dr. Farley, we got about a minute left. I want to ask real quickly about the Biden administration's plans to push forward with the Palestinian Authority as the likely successor to Hamas. It has been rife with corruption for years. It doesn't really even have the trust of the people in Gaza. Why are they pushing this out right now?
Look, they have the information. The Biden administration has the information. They know that the best Palestinian, in exile are those who have been chased out by Hamas and by the Palestinian Authority. We know the authority has a lot of problems, including financial and other similar problems. Why don't they work with the UAE again? And the Saudis and the Egyptians and the Jordanians, they are the ones who know who these Palestinians are. If you want to reform Gaza after Hamas is dismantled and have some sort of local bureaucracy, local government, we're going to the wrong addresses. We can go to Abu Dhabi, Riyadh, Cairo, Amman, and work with them. What is our foreign policy doing at this point in time? They should be preparing for the after Hamas situation and not preparing us for a very difficult situation after Hamas is out and try to come back as a guerrilla force.
Well, This conflict and this conversation is not going anywhere, so I know one thing: we are going to need you, Dr. Phares, back on the show very soon to discuss this. Thank you for being here, sir. Everybody go check out his book, Iran. Very easy name to remember and a very important book. So go to wherever you buy books and check out that book by Dr. Walid Phares. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but we'll be back with National Religious Broadcasters President and CEO Troy Miller after these messages.
Donald Trump is at peak "are you kidding me" right now. He has been swimming at the bottom of the MAGA reptile tank, appearing on shows like America's Top 10 Countdown with Wayne Allen Root, the Dr. Gina Show on Real America's Voice. Kim Jong-un's old pal Donald is busy talking to anyone who might sit there and nod in agreement. He did an interview with something called Real America's Voice, which might not even be a real thing. But
what is that network?
Real America's Voice. Bannon's on it. Charlie Kirk's on it. It's a TV network.
It's like
a down market, Truth Social.
It's like
I don't know why that's a laugh fest, but yes, Real America's Voice is now breaking through the white noise of the mainstream media with Charlie Kirk, War Room, of course, John Fredericks early morning. You got Gruber, Miranda Kahn, Tara Dahl, Jack Posobiec. You've got Just the News, a show that follows us. It's just incredible. John Solomon. You got an incredible lineup, and it's starting to have an impact.